Awareness, mindfulness, conscious thought. Aren't these the buzzwords we've been hearing lately? Pay attention to your surroundings. Who's with you? Are you really present in the moment? We all know, and we've heard, in order to make some great changes in our lives, we need to be aware. We need to have awareness. This would have been really handy for me when I went to a wedding a couple of weeks ago, and I wasn't aware that I had really bad panty lines. Really bad. Now, had I been aware of these really awful panty lines, I would have made a different choice in underwear. Now, it's kind of a silly story, but that's the point. We kind of need to be aware before we can choose to make a change. I'm Sue Bonzell. I wrote a book called The Respect Experiment. This is a call to action to help us raise our awareness of respect and disrespect in our lives. It's been quite a journey. Why did I write it? A lot of people have asked me. Well, I found out that respect was my number one core value. And how did I do that? With a little bit of life reflection, which is always such a joy, isn't it? Going back in time to those things that affected us when we were kids, and we've all got a great story. We all have a story, and it's not about whose is worse and whose is better. It's about the experiences that we had and how they're now shaping how we respond. So looking back in this little reflection, I was able to really notice, and I said, wow, my dad was extremely verbally abusive to my mom when I was growing up. And thinking back, I said, wow, my mom was really verbally abusive to my dad in return. I think probably as a defense. And I didn't really realize how much that experience affected me until later in life when I was getting divorced for the second time. And when you're getting divorced for the second time, let me tell you, the lessons in disrespect come in really handy. I was really, really good at it. I had no idea how good I really was at disrespect. Until at the end of the second marriage, I talked to my ex-husband and he said, you know, I have to tell you, you have been borderline verbally abusive to me. Whew. That was a really tough pill to swallow. He had taken the mirror and turned it around. And I was now looking at this ugly person that I never wanted to be. I never wanted to be like my parents. I always said, that's not going to be me. Those aren't the relationships I'm going to have. But here I was, that exact person that I didn't want to be. So I started to take a look at a few things, which is part of that journey that we're all on. And I started to notice how I was really kind of unhappy. I was judgmental. I was complaining all the time. I was always upset about something. There was always something to complain about. And I really probably was a pretty miserable person. I would go out and I'd put on my happy face and I'd be friendly and I'd do that thing. But really in the end, inside, I kind of felt a little bit dead. That was not where I wanted to be and not where I pictured myself and my life. And so I started to notice the things that were happening that were triggering me to get upset and to be mad about something and complain and criticize and all of these things. And a lot of the things that were happening, I kept looking and I said, oh, there's a pattern. This is all about respect, or actually disrespect, or what I interpreted as disrespect, because it can be interpreted differently by other people based on their experiences. So I said, wow, I think respect is really, really important to me. I'm going to call respect my number one core value. Number one core value is respect, because that's what I need. That's what I want. Don't we all say that? We think respect is important. We want it. We need it. We deserve it. Aretha Franklin wrote a song about it, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. We love that song, don't we? So I started to look and I said, okay, now I'm seeing these patterns. My number one core value is respect. That's a pretty bold statement. Now it's time to once again turn that mirror and look and say, well, isn't that nice that respect is your core value, but how respectful are you being in your life? Where are you showing up in respect and disrespect? This is where the respect experiment was born. I created for myself a set of tools to help me raise my awareness on a daily basis. And once I had that awareness raised, I was able to make changes so that I could modify my behavior. So I go through the experiment on a regular basis. This is an ongoing thing. It doesn't just stop because it's difficult. We have a lot of opportunities in life to be disrespectful. But the great thing is, the results were amazing. I was happy. I was friendly with everybody. I couldn't wait to see people. I was having loving relationships. My life had completely turned around. I was happy inside with me. And I knew that I would never be that person again. So what I'd like to share with you today are a couple of tips, if that would be okay. Yes? Okay, good. Thank you. So these are just a few tips. Of course, I have the entire book, and these are just a few little tips. Tip number 1, recognize when you criticize. So we all know it's really, really easy to criticize other people, situations, things. So that wedding that I went to, that I took my panty lines to, I also took my boyfriend to. New boyfriend, loving relationship, very good. So I took my boyfriend and we're there and we're watching the guests come in and he looks at me and he leans over and he says, there's a lot of guys here with jeans and t-shirts and ball caps. Since when did that become acceptable at a wedding? I mean, really? And I stopped and I thought, and I knew exactly why he said it. He, in his mind, was thinking, that's very disrespectful to the bride and groom. How dare you not dress up for them? And I thought about it and I said, well, maybe they don't have clothes to dress up in, and maybe if it meant they had to dress up, they wouldn't show up. So I'm sure that the bride and groom are probably pretty happy that they showed up and that they're there to celebrate with them. Okay, well, time to go to the bar at the wedding. So we walk over and I notice the wine selection, and I'm a bit of a wine snob. And I said, well, not really my style. I'm just gonna go with some water. I'm gonna be fine. He opted for a beer and he takes one sip of the beer and he says, oh my God, this is the worst beer I've ever had. It's awful. It's flat. It has no flavor. They must have gotten the cheapest beer they could get. I thought, and I said, well, yes, maybe. There are some other choices. And we didn't come here for the beer or the wine or the food or the cake. We came here to celebrate. And so looking at it that way, there is always an opportunity to criticize no matter where you go. So when you're thinking about being critical, number 1, what are you criticizing? Number 2, why are you criticizing? And number 3, what good are you bringing with your criticism? We've always heard of, constructive criticism, which is always wonderful. But if it doesn't really do any good, does it really need to be said? Probably not. He opted for the 7 and 7, was happy from there on. So it was a great wedding. So tip number 2, check your inner biatch. And we've all got her, don't we? I actually have a really, really good one that I'm trying to tame on a regular basis. My family, the ladies in my family, very, very good at this. I'm talking about the little jabs, the little comments, the little snide remarks. Throw in a little shame and whip it in there and it feels really good. I can give you an example. My sister, I don't see my sister very often, but I did see her and I was telling her and explaining how I'm really getting into these doTERRA essential oils. And I was excited about it and I'm telling her about all these great results that I'm having and this and that and the essential oils and this one and that one. And she stops and she looks at me and she goes, essential oils? And I said, yeah. She goes, yeah, that's been going on forever. Like, you're a little late to the party, aren't you? Yes, it has been going on for forever, you know, like back to Egyptian times. But I'm doing it now, so I'm happy about that. So it's these little snide little remarks or little comments, and we typically will do them with people that we are closest to or that we love, our partners, our family. It's easy to do it because we know how to do it. So keep an eye on those things and kind of check that inner biatch. Tip number 3, stop the gossip. And this is tough. I know with the ladies, we all get together and we're talking and this and that. And I think that one of the hard parts about stopping gossiping, and this goes for men too, is that in some ways, I think that when we're gossiping, it feels like we're making a connection with someone when we might be talking about someone else. But as we know, there are so many other ways to make amazing connections with people that is not gossiping. And you know the difference between gossiping and passing along information, because I've talked to people about this and they go, well, I'm just passing the information along. Okay, I'm going to give you some examples, and this is super fun. This is like my favorite part. So passing along the information looks something like this. Oh my gosh, did you hear about Jane? Her husband had a massive heart attack. He's in the hospital. Oh, she's really having a hard time. He's been there for a long time. You know, maybe we should take over some food, maybe send her some flowers and a card. That would be really nice. That's passing along information, not passing judgment. As we know, the old gossip is a lot more fun, isn't it? And it starts something like this. Oh my God. It always starts like that. Oh my God. Did you hear about Sally? She got a boob job. Oh my God. Yeah, I saw her at the mall the other day. She walked by and I went, oh my God, it looked like it was a botched job. I mean, really, it did not look good. And do you know what else I heard? I heard that her boyfriend made her get the boobs or else he was going to break up with her. So he paid for it. But not only that, he's a total drug dealer. It was drug money. It was all drug money that bought the boobs. I can't believe it. I mean, what's next? This girl is nuts. I mean, she's making horrible choices in her life. I mean, this is just insane. And it goes on and on and on, right? So the thing about gossip is, number one, you're passing judgment. You're saying she's crazy, she's this, she's that. It also is laden with speculation. Do we really know that it was a botched job? Do we really know that? Do we really know that her boyfriend made her get the boobs? Do we really know that the boyfriend is a drug dealer and paid with it with drug money? No, we don't. We don't know. But this is how it goes, and it starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's that awful, awful gossip. So check your gossip. When you're in a group and you're doing that, hearing that gossip thing, you have choices. You can either walk away. If you're in a larger group, easy just to walk away. Or you also have the choice to simply say, gee, I don't think that's really fair that you're talking about Sally that way. I don't want to be part of it. And you can remove yourself if they continue to talk. And if those friends get on you and say, oh, what's your problem? Give you a bad time, go find some different friends. That's right. So those are some 3 tips just to get you started. Obviously, there's so many more when we're talking about respect. All 3 of those things you will notice were all very negative things. The criticism, the jabs, the gossiping, very negative. And when we're surrounded with negativity, we can't elevate ourselves and have more respect, not only for ourselves, but for other people. So I'm Sue Bonzell. I offer events and retreats to continue raising your awareness of respect and disrespect so that you can choose to make amazing choices and change your life and have awesome, awesome joy and happiness. So thank you.